Good afternoon, everyone. This is Patrick Russell, Blue Jay, class of '89. And believe it or not, this is episode 16 of the We Want More Vodcast.
Winds up, big scores another one for Hopkins.
Shot to goal right out in front. The Blue Jays
does not wear a brace. Never has shown any adverse effects. Harrison with it. Big shot. Scores! Kyle Harrison goes high. That's it. It's over. Johns Hopkins has won its ninth national championship.
Pete, good afternoon. Happy summer. And greetings to you there at Homewood Field and the Cordish Center.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Nice to see you again. And we are now off and running officially with the summer and the end of all lacrosse for the spring season.
Yeah. And as they say, the 2025 season starts now because we know recruiting period is ahead. Pete, first of all, thank you for your time in doing this year. I think we would be remiss if we didn't say to folks, look, the idea behind this concept at the beginning of the year was let's give alums and even our fans who are not alums sort of a closer, more personal look into the season, past games, games ahead, as opposed to sort of a stale, stagnant email. It's nice to do this in a podcast format. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you for doing this for all of us.
Sure. It's, my part of my responsibility, but also my pleasure. I enjoy keeping you folks connected. I would say, thank you back for all the time that you've, put into this. And I know you connect with folks around the community and around Blue Jay land and
yep.
Get some feedback and get some questions and stuff like that. I mean, this is just the best way we could think of to serve the greater population of Blue Jay fans and alumni and family and all that. And so it seems like it's been well received so far, but appreciate all the time and effort that goes into it, because it certainly it actually helps and serves our needs as well in the same regard.
Yep.
It's not something that's completely one-sided. So appreciate it all the way around.
Sure, Pete, our pleasure. And thank you again. Look, we wanted to give you some time to decompress, catch your breath, contemplate a little bit, but we ended the season with a double overtime loss to Virginia in the quarterfinals. And again, you just mentioned this. I talked to a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of folks said, hey, given that this is the end of the NCAA tournament, let's at least say the most exciting game of the NCAA tournament was the Hopkins-Virginia game. But Pete, tough loss, double overtime, just, your thoughts, just encompass everything that you're feeling as that loss takes hand.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to process. There's a lot to digest in that. There was in real time right afterwards, just looking in the eyes of the guys, mostly the seniors and how they're starting to realize that their college season, their college career, is coming to an end. And then we have to, start to gather the guys up and talk through, where we are with things and next steps and, how to process that. And it's difficult. And it was a really, it was an intense game. I'm sure it was an enjoyable, exciting game to watch. It was a little frantic at times, but, the guys played their butts off. They played till the end. We forced phenomenal, one of the best players in the country to make a really phenomenal play. And, we gave ourselves as many chances as we could and just came up a little short. I don't think there's any shame in that at all. I'm really proud of the effort and what the guys put in. We had a lot of high hopes and we were really looking forward to playing for another week. But the reality is that every team except for one finishes the season with a loss. And,
right.
We're hoping to be that one. We got to get one step closer and we're going to use this as a building block. I think it was able to sink in with the guys and, with the younger guys, we talked a lot in the locker room and we had to have a team meeting on Monday, the day after, to kind of close that chapter. And we spent some time sharing some thoughts and some emotions in the team room downstairs. And, we end that with the seniors kind of standing up and exiting the room. And then we close the door and have our first meeting of the 2025 season. And so it happens very abruptly. There's a lot of discomfort with it, but it's also, like I said, part of the process and the reality of what we're dealing with, what we're going through.
Yeah. Understood. When I do these, I think, you have to ask questions the right way, not to make them rhetorical, and hopefully, as I said, get a little bit under the surface. You can't reveal too much, but you consider it a successful season, you as a coach?
I think there's a lot to be proud of in that season. I don't want to, put my own foot in my mouth and say, yeah, it was a great success when we, finished in the quarterfinals. But I am really proud of what this team did this year, and the way they carried themselves, the way they competed day in and day out, the rigor of our schedule, and how we finished, the accomplishments of a lot of these guys. They just put so much, heart into this and so much work and effort. There's a lot of successes to take out of this season. As a whole, it's hard to feel like, you go 11-5 and you don't make it to the championship weekend, that it's a successful season at a place like this. But I don't think there's any disappointment in it, in who we are and what we've done. I think we put everything we had into it, and you don't always win every game you want to win. If everybody did, it would be a really awkward looking season for the whole country. Everybody wants to win every game. Everybody goes into it with that mentality, and I think that's right. That's appropriate. This is one of those. Yeah. This is one of those programs that starts every season with the goal of winning a national championship, and sometimes that's the obligation. It's a little bit of a burden at times. Like sure. You're always chasing this goal, but it's a reality. And along the way, if we don't go undefeated, we are probably still going to do some great things and maybe have some tough moments. And I think there were some of those mixed in there. I think, at the end of the day, as a coach, I feel like our responsibility is to provide our guys with a phenomenal experience that comes with being at the best program in the business, and an opportunity to be successful at a really high level now and for the rest of their lives. And I think our guys, got a chance to take away some of those things and some of those lessons that they'll employ wherever they go. And I think for that, we can be proud of a lot of things, the way the guys came together and kept competing and kept fighting for each other.
Right. So quickly, I'm going to put it this way. We'll cover a highlight and maybe a frustration. Okay. I'm going to mention the highlight that comes to my mind, which is Chase Ireland in goal in that game. I mean, really, when you get this incredible player, grad transfer from Cornell, and you're just like, okay, where does he fit in? You watch that game and you say, this is why we got Chase Ireland. Mm-hmm. Just talk about Chase's game. I mean, because he was lights out.
Yeah, he was, he's had some big moments, and he's risen to a lot of occasions, but he really is just a product of the work and the type of teammate that he is. He absorbed the environment from these guys around him. He showed up with a smile and a determination, but he really took on the personality of this program as well, and just wanted to be an integral member of this team and this this great program. And I think the outcome that you see on the field is, all those days with Coach BK, getting extra sessions in, it's just being surrounded by the other goalie unit, feeling the connection with the defense that he's working with, and maybe getting a little mouthy with the offensive guys at times, just to build up the competition level of practice. But I thought he was really impressive. He did a great job stopping the ball. He made some impressive ones. This, maybe one of the better days I've seen him have. It was a sad time to see him play his last college game, but he's up at training camp right now with the pro team that drafted him. I was texting him about how it was going, and I let him know that you're not allowed to get scored on in the pro leagues. They don't take on they don't accept that. They'll cut you right away. So don't give up any goals.
Right. It was cool to actually see photos of him with his brother. I think they're teammates, right? He's on
the same team as his brother, and Garrett Degnan and Bo Zuluk actually got picked up by the same team. So all three of them are at training camp together. So
good.
Yeah.
All right. So Pete, frustrations. I mean, there might be a list greater than one, but what's the one frustration you felt out of that game?
I have a few, but I don't want to, single any specific player or anything like that out. I mean, I think we struggled with the clear against a really prolific ride, and it'd probably be the first one that comes to mind, because I thought there were some answers in there that maybe we could have made some better adjustments for the boys. Maybe we could have explained things, and we practiced it every day all season long. We did fairly well against it. Most other times we saw it this season. We struggled with a different kind of ride a few times, but that press, we handled it fairly well most of the year. And I think that game we just missed the mark. We miscued a few passes. We maybe held the ball a little half second too long a few times, but it was a really impressive version from them. That was the best I've seen it. We were even getting a couple shots off trying to hit the goal, and they were knocking the shots down before they even got there. Like they were all over it. And we should have had some better adjustments to it. But, guys kept pushing and kept fighting through it. And we needed a few more of those, but, ended up having to play a little bit more defense than we wanted to. And
right.
Unfortunately, it's not an easy place to be in the quarterfinals.
Understood. Well, as we mentioned, and we love the insight and sort of the enlightenment you provide us with things that we may not know, but how you have that meeting on Monday, the seniors depart the room and the 2025 season starts. Really, really well said. So let's talk about the team now in terms of accolades. We had 5 All-Americans. One of the highlights of this season, frankly, is the fact that we have a large number of Blue Jays in the USILA All-American selection. So Scott Smith made first team defense. You had Brett Martin and Chase on third team, and then honorable mention was Angel and Garrett Degnan.
You also had Matt Collison as a third team.
Oh, sorry, Matt Collison. I apologize.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there was 6 of them total, and Matt was in there on the third team.
So, you pleased with those selections? Do you think someone should have been higher? Someone not?
I mean, I'm proud of those guys. I think they all earned those accolades. I think Bo Zulu could have been on that list as well. I thought he deserved it. I thought he'd earned it, but a lot of those things are reflective of your team's overall success. So sometimes you win one more game, you can get 1 or 2 more guys.
Right,
sometimes if we would have lost the first round, we might have only had 2 or 3 guys. So who knows? But I think those guys earned it. I'm proud of them. Scotty being first team, I thought was really just a great accomplishment. The work, he's put in and I think a product of the defense overall, and the work with Coach K, just impressive stuff. But happy for all those guys. Excited for them to receive some accolades. I mean, every year the list comes out, you could nitpick about all of them. So
sure.
I try not to get too deep into it. Those
Understood.
Guys that earn it. I think there's a few more guys that could, but I'm proud of the efforts. They're all American worthy kids. So I have no doubt about it.
I'm going to state this simply as an alum. This is my quote. I think it's great to see, Blue Jays back into the All-American race again, which is awesome. And that's one of many indicators of a step in the right direction. So congratulations. And congratulations to those young men. Because I know the one word that sort of was repeated often in these podcasts was resiliency, that you had a resilient team. So, and we saw that on the field and appreciate it. All right. So Pete, just a few more minutes. So what's ahead? What can you tell us about the program going forward? Give us a little insight, if you might, into your recruiting this summer. I think it's okay to say this. I mean, we saw this on social media. We have 2 Yale transfers coming in. Is that? Yeah,
you can find a lot of stuff on media. I don't think until everything's official and accepted and things like that, right. I would comment on anything.
Okay, gotcha. So then tell us what we can look forward to.
We got it. We're going to have a few transfers in the mix. There's not going to be a ton of them, but as you've probably seen the last few years, we'd like to target a few areas that might be specific needs or just areas of opportunity. If we find somebody that is really, a high level player, then, whether it's a need or not, sometimes it's just really valuable to bring into the program. But, always being respectful of the guys in the locker room, the guys that have put this time in over the long term, that, I don't want to overload this roster with new faces, certainly 1-year guys, but there's some great young men out there that can help us compete. And, we brought in 3 guys for 1 year last year. And if we didn't probably attack those in that opportunity when they came up, might not have been as big of a benefit for us,
Right.
throughout the season. So, outside of that, I think our incoming freshman class is not huge, not as big as it was last year, but it's very good, and we're really excited about them. I think there'll be some more of this past year's freshmen that you'll start to see on the field. We had a lot of experienced seniors, grad students playing every game, and other than just a few freshmen and youngsters, you didn't really get to see that many. So that'll be exciting going forward, starting to see some of these new faces that get a chance to step into these roles. But we are seeing the departure of, I want to say 16, 17 guys. Sometimes that number always fluctuates with
Right.
the one guy that's coming back or can't come back or things like that. So I think right now we're at 16 guys departing and, basically playing in almost every game. So, we got, a lot of new faces and it'll be exciting to see.
What is your first year incoming class number wise is how many? It's like 7, 8.
This incoming freshman class is 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's not small. It's just not. Last year was 17, so it was massive. So we balance it out.
I don't want to get too technical, but how do you determine who goes where on your staff for recruiting over the summer? I'm just
Good
curious.
question. Well, there's also a process. It's called dibs. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but sometimes people will just pick and choose based off of where they want to go, and then we'll have to reassign if we need to. But there's a million things to go to. So sometimes it's about coverage. We decide, if you're coming from New Jersey, it may not make sense for you to go down to Baltimore, then back to Philly. We'll just switch, something like that. Sometimes it'll align with, maybe where home base is from, where your family is, your significant other is going to be in that area for a certain amount of time. I generally call a lot of dibs around Baltimore because I got 3 kids, and it helps me to not have to, go on a 3-day road trip. But sometimes it's positional. If there's a player you got to see, if there's a defenseman and he's up in, I don't know, Chicago or Boston or whatever, then we might look to send Coach K to that. If there's an offensive guy and maybe Coach K's already seen him, sometimes we want to make sure everybody gets all their eyes on him, and we'll kind of rotate it around. So I already went here and saw him, so now he's going over there. I'd like you to go see him, because if you sign off on him, then that goes a long way. So there's a lot of answers to that, but we start by just putting everything on the schedule that we know about, and then we kind of pick and choose between what's the top rated things we got to go to, what are the most important, who needs to be where, and then really what are the ones that can fill in, because then there's a lot of off time where there's not one of the premier events, and either then all of us will stack up and go to the same thing, or we'll start figuring out what is there in between that we can do. And I also tend to stay around here a bunch for on-campus visits. So if the guys are out, the one thing I don't ever want to do, and I've gotten caught doing this a lot of times in my career, is get behind on recruiting because you're out recruiting all the time. So if we go find somebody that we really like and we want to get them to campus, then we can't push them off because we're all out recruiting. So we got to make sure that someone's around campus, and sometimes we'll call all the troops back and everybody be on Homewood this weekend. And sometimes we'll just take turns with it.
So that's a cool thing to find out. So even in the summer, you might have someone come and visit, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's rising seniors. Although we've got a class of those guys committed already, it doesn't mean that if another one shows up that we really think is a great fit, or a transfer or something like that we can't go take a look at them, whether we're out watching them play or him coming to campus. So there are, recruiting doesn't only begin in September. It can be going the whole year. We can't visit with a rising junior until September, but there are guys in this class that can still come to campus. So, we want to make sure that we're still open to the opportunity of getting the best young men in the country.
Sure. Question for you. Obviously, box tournaments, you guys are in Canada looking at box tournaments as well?
Yes. Not as much. I probably go there more than the other guys. I just don't know if they are busy a lot here with the club events and things like that. I'm heading up next week to Western Canada for an event, and then box in Ontario just started, so we'll start getting up there at some point soon, which is also kind of a two-sided, because there are a lot of our guys that play, so you get to see a few of them run around a little bit.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so that's looking ahead. I it's funny, as a father of a former club player, I used to always say to people, I can't tell you how many times I've been to Lehigh University or the Hill School in Pottstown, PA.
Pottstown, PA.
Staying at a hotel at the King of Prussia Mall.
King of Prussia Mall,
at least a dozen times.
There's a Marriott right at the King of Prussia. I've stayed at more times than I know what to do with.
Yeah.
And there's certain hot spots. You just end up there a lot.
Yeah. Pete, last question. Everyone pretty much remained healthy this year.
Yeah, for the most part. We had some guys playing through some things. There were some that came up throughout the year. I thought our staff did a really great job managing those things and, getting us to the end of the year, getting us across the finish line without, the major ones. But, we lost Brooks English early on. That's
right. I forgot about Brooks.
Kind of a freakish one, but he gets the year back. So we'll have him for 3 more seasons after he comes back, and he's getting close. I think he's going to start running in the next month or two, but, I think we had a lot of guys, power through things. We had some grit and, some toughness show itself. There's always a few things that come up that are unfortunate, but, it's an unfortunate thing. It comes with the territory. It's just kind of, the element of playing, high level competition and doing it on a consistent basis. And sometimes those happen in practice and guys don't even see them. And sometimes it happens with a guy that's not on the game field every week. And so guys don't get noticed or don't get seen, but those guys, those players are just as valuable and just as important to the team dynamic, to what we do week to week. And, so we try and manage all those. Everybody's valuable. Everybody's important, regardless of what position they are or how many minutes they play in a game. So, we sustained a few of those, but it didn't, not enough, not many of them impacted the game field as much, game time. So.
Right. Well, as a fan and as an alum, it just did not seem as prevalent this season as in other seasons where you would always see a lot of, hurt or injured players. So kudos to you and to the training staff and to Jay Dyer and
they do an exceptional job.
Yeah, they're really great.
Trying a new version of it just to make sure that we can track it a little bit better. And I think it's helped us at times.
This is a good moment for me to actually interject with sort of an update. Now, we have the alumni golf outing and the alumni weekend. It's already been announced. It's like October. I put it in my calendar.
5th, I think.
October 4th, 5th, and 6th.
I think that's right. I don't have it on me, but I know the email's gone out, and I think that's right.
Part of that is, I think the Sunday, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Sunday is when you actually do your team. All of us who played remember having a team like awards.
Yeah, it'll be the banquet for the 2024 team.
That'll be on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So without giving any awards away, I just had one question. Give me an unsung hero. Give me a player that you, at the end of the year, were like, man, that young man delivered for us. Not, and you expect everything of your players, but that young man really delivered more than we could ask for.
It's probably a year where I could name a few, because there was a lot, like we talk about accolades and how many of those seniors. But I mean, Hunter Joronsky is one of the first ones because he got overshadowed at times by Brett, but he might have been as significant as anybody on that end of the field. And, if we don't stat how many times you clear the ball, but he might have led our team and how many times he got it over the midline for us, and sometimes running it out, sometimes making a good decision. Bo Zuluk also goes in that category, although he's a 2-time captain. So it's not like he's, goes unnoticed at times, but he just made consistent plays. He was just a really big piece for us and one that we could continue to build around. Peshko on the offensive end. Yeah. Peshko somewhat, seemed to score big goals at big times. Didn't hit certain numbers to earn accolades or whatnot, or, didn't, jump off a lot of radars. Casey McDermott, he moved around roles for us a lot. He was a deep defensive midfielder for a few weeks. He was Took I think every wing. There was one week he took 23 wings in addition to playing offense and defensive shifts. That's a lot. That's a big load. A lot of guys in that regard. A lot of the short stick team middies that you ask about a lot, Jackson Raposo, Marcelo Ortega, Carlos Dins, like just adding depth, adding experience, adding a voice. Marcelo's playlists when he's on the speaker. Those are big ones for us. There's a couple of, Pat Deans and Dylan Bauer are huge, but they're both coming back next year. So that's a big one. There's a lot. There's a lot of guys that were contributors this year that maybe didn't get as noticed enough, but
yeah. Well, it's good to see so many young men contribute and play, because you definitely notice them when you're watching. So many contributors team. All right. So Pete, you finished your 4th season as a Blue Jay. We're going to close this up, but what's been I'm trying to put this in the right way, but what's been the one thing that you've really learned in your 4 years at Hopkins, or that you've enjoyed, that you've gotten the most out of, like an experience, a game, a practice, a moment? What has been the biggest thrill for you?
I think the last 2 years, getting to lift the crab for those guys, last year's seniors and then this year's seniors. It's hard to really separate those two, because the one this year at home was a really special day. I guess it was the biggest crowd in college lacrosse in a regular season crowd in 5 years or something like that.
Right.
But then last year I thought a lot about that one in how that senior class had, kind of gone through their experience. They'd lost to Maryland 5 times previous to that in a row. And in fact, actually 5 times in 2 years, and then got a chance to lift that crab last year. It's a special moment for those guys. And it's hard to not jump right to that one when it comes up. But I maybe overall just the significance of the rivalry, the significance of a lot of the rivalries.
Sure.
I remember asking Chase that one point this year. I'm like, what's one thing that's really kind of jumped out at you? He's like, just out, like every game seems like it's a hugely important game, and it's a big game, and it's a rivalry, and it's this and that.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of those, and like our second or third game of the season was Georgetown. Our first game of the season was Denver. It's a Final Four team. We played Towson. That's our first 3 games of the season, and I think there's not a lot of places you go and you get to do that. You don't start off the season with the number 75 ranked team in the country. You start off with, top 5 team and kind of keep jumping through them. And I think that's one of the things that, like, the thirst for that around here, the excitement from a fan base, from an alumni base, but from the guys, like I don't think they would ever ask me to schedule a cream puff in the middle of the week just so we could, build some confidence.
Right.
Want to play the best teams.
Well, you mentioned those 3 teams, Denver, Towson, and Georgetown, right? All 3 of those teams were NCAA participants, so tournament. So
yeah.
Well, Pete, look, appreciate the time that you've given us. As I said, we wanted some time to decompress, let the championship weekend, pass, and we appreciate you giving us some time. We appreciate the time and the insight you've given to us all season long, and I hope that people have enjoyed this. A reminder, I did look at my calendar. It is October 4th, 5th, and 6th. So for you Lax alumni out there, Blue Jay alumni, 4th, 5th, and 6th is alumni weekend, the golf outing, the barbecue. That Sunday you have your 2024 team sort of reception where all the awards and accolades are given out. We thank you for everything, and we're proud of you, and we were proud of this team. So many people I heard from were like, just we're really proud of the fight, and as you said, the resilience of this team. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the support, for doing this, to all the, Blue Jay faithful out there, just enjoying watching the guys play and giving them the best experience possible. They get that, here on Homewood, and then when we travel and the fans come out in mass. But, I just really proud of the group, the team and what they're doing and where they're going, and the senior class leaving their legacy here and, continuing this long blue line of success here. And, we're back for more. We want more, and can't wait for the next opportunity to compete. So You and I were talking about this. Just keep up this podcast going occasionally throughout the off season, not week to week like we have been throughout the year, but we'll get every occasionally. I don't even know if I'll quote anything now, but at least once throughout the summer, maybe twice, and go from there through the fall.
Yeah, definitely. That would be great. And as you said, it doesn't have to be every week, but maybe we include some, former Jays on the Vodcast, and we'll figure something to get us an audience. It'll be great.
You have Bo Zuluk up here telling jokes.
Exactly.
Bring him in.
We got to do more superlatives, funniest, best of, who's the best DJ, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Pete, this has been a lot of fun for me. I hope you have a great summer. I'm sure we'll see you on the recruiting circuit. Thank you again, and stick 'em Jays.
Sounds good. Go Jays.